For decades, people assumed demons belonged to ancient texts, whispered prayers, or exaggerated folklore. But what if that assumption was wrong? What if some of the most unsettling encounters were not stories at all, but moments quietly captured on camera by ordinary people who were not searching for anything unusual? From forests and cemeteries to churches and private homes, these recordings raised one terrifying question. If demons were not meant to be seen, why did so many appear when cameras were rolling? And as you will soon notice, the most disturbing part was not how these entities looked. It was how easily they could have been around people long before anyone realized they were there. The footage was filmed in 1987 deep inside the Colombian rainforest, and it looked like a wildlife recording until the camera caught a creature moving between the trees with steady confidence. It advanced on both hands and legs, not stumbling, not scrambling, almost like it rehearsed the motion. Its head seemed disturbingly small, while a hard shell-like structure sat across its back, shaping an outline that felt engineered. What unsettled me was the awareness. The cameraman hesitated, breathing louder, whispering for the others to stay back, and the creature still kept coming, calm, deliberate. If it was only an animal, why did it move like it understood it was being filmed? Along an Atlantic coast in August 2019 around 6:40 p.m., a local fisherman checked his nets after the tide behaved strangely, and his phone captured a figure crawling across wet sand toward the water. The limbs moved long and elastic, frog-like in rhythm, yet the torso looked human, and behind the neck a fin-like flap opened and closed as if breathing through it. It slipped back into the ocean without splashing. Some people online treated it like proof of mermaid folklore, while others insisted it looked staged, pointing to how perfectly the camera stayed on it. Still, the quiet confidence was hard to ignore. What kind of hoax crawled back into the sea like it belonged there? This clip was filmed during a crowded Pentecostal night service, and it became one of those videos people cited whenever they argued that exorcism was more than ritual.
¡En el nombre de Jesús, suelta esta hija! ¡Satanás!
¡Ay, Dios mío! ¡Gloria a Dios! ¡Gloria a Dios! Señor, ten piedad. Gloria a Dios, Padre. Ahora, ahora.
A church media worker seemed to be recording the service when a young girl was brought forward by a priest known for deliverance sessions. As prayers intensified, her body tightened, her voice changed, and she suddenly launched onto the wall, clinging with both hands and feet like a lizard. Some viewers framed it as spiritual warfare caught on camera. Others said adrenaline and mass hysteria could explain more than people wanted to admit. Yet what made it feel different was the priest's composure. He kept praying, like he had seen this pattern before. One quiet evening in October 2019 in Baton Rouge, a real estate agent returned from a grocery run and found her front door open. And instead of calling out, she raised her phone and started filming, moving like someone who sensed danger but needed proof. Halfway up the stairs, black hands with long fingers slid into view, gripping the rail. Then a head appeared, with bright eyes reflecting the light, bald edges framed by long, dark hair. She froze, her breathing shook, and she whispered something like, "No, no," before backing away. What stuck with me was the stillness. It did not chase, it watched. If fear was the goal, why did it choose silence instead of speed? Somewhere in the Philippines, A choir member filmed an evening prayer service while testimonies were being shared.
Ai, coisa feia! Aqui meu hotel não, em nome de Jesus. Gente, olha o barraco que você tá fazendo, criatura. Tá achando que é parque de diversão? Eu mando e você obedece. Some daqui em nome...
The camera turned toward a woman as a priest known for deliverance prayed over her, and the atmosphere changed instantly. She screamed, rolled across the floor, and twisted as if something fought against her from the inside, her face tensing, her jaw stretching, baby eyes flashing with rage. People around sat down and stared, like they were afraid to move. The priest stayed close, speaking over her in a steady rhythm, and the clip ended with the crowd still staring in shock, as if they had witnessed something they could not explain out loud. Two men on a late-night wildlife survey in northern Mexico spotted glowing eyes in the distance, and one of them, a documentary videographer, raised his camera with hands that visibly trembled.
Ahmet bu boynuzlu şeş yapar bu Ahmet. Boynuzlu şeş yapar bak. Burayı koruyan boynuzlu şeş yapar, bu çok güçlü. Çok güçlü Ahmet, sakın panik yapma bak. Başına büyük bir sıkıntı gelebilir, sakın panik yapma bak. Görüyor musun? Şu an bize bakıyor. Ve şimdi bu ortaya.
He zoomed once, then again, and horns emerged from the darkness, massive, curved, far too large for any familiar animal. The figure stayed completely still, eyes unblinking, as if it understood the lens and refused to flinch. The men spoke in short bursts, disbelief in their voices. Then one urged the other to back up slowly. What made it feel dangerous was not movement, but restraint, because predators did not always charge. Sometimes they waited until you decided what to do next. A trail camera set deep in Germany's Black Forest was meant to monitor deer, but on October 14th, 2018 at 2:17 a.m., it recorded a figure that shattered that expectation. The creature appeared over 7 feet tall, upright like a human, yet insect-like in structure, with long limbs moving in clean, precise angles, folded wings pressed to its back as it crossed the frame. Then it paused, almost instantly, like it sensed the camera. For a moment it froze, then it bolted with terrifying speed, vanishing into the darkness so fast the footage blurred. The most unsettling part was the timing. It moved confidently until it realized it was being watched. Then it reacted like exposure was the only threat. In Green Hollow Cemetery near Salem, Massachusetts, 2 men were filmed in candlelight, one seated and tense, the other kneeling as if performing a ritual.
वरना तेरे साथ में मैं तुझे क्या तू मुक्ति चाहती है क्या हुआ तेरे मुंह से तो खून आ रही है क्या करती तुम ये चिल्ला रही है खून के तेरे मुंह से कैसे निकल खूनी पता ना अरे सीने बता दो यार सीने में बहुत तेज यार भाई यार इन्हें हालत खराब है मुझे उठ लाइट में दिखा.
The night looked still until a ragged figure crawled up from a grave, hair hanging over its face, arms stretching forward with unnatural intent. The kneeling man screamed and clutched his chest as if something hit him at once. His breathing turned frantic, and the other man shouted for him to stay there while dragging him away. The clip left a disturbing question behind. Why would anyone choose that hour, that place, and those candles, unless they expected something to answer? Just after midnight on October 14th, 2013, near Saint-Martin-de-Lys in the French countryside, a local architecture student explored an abandoned chapel and recorded figures in priestly robes performing a strange rite. Chanting rose, symbols were traced in ash, and the shapes did not look like costumes to everyone watching later. Some appeared winged, some horned, one resembling a goat-headed figure with glowing eyes. Critics later argued it looked like staged theater in a forgotten building, while others believed the organization was the scariest detail because it felt rehearsed, intentional, almost disciplined. The student's breathing quickened as he whispered in awe, and the camera lingered like he could not look away. If it was a performance, who was the audience meant to be? On January 14th, 2019, just after 6:40 p.m. in a crowded market district in Mexico, a butcher, a middle-aged meat seller closing up for the day, stood behind the glass display when the security camera caught something walking upright. It had dark fur, queue-like horns, and hooved feet, moving with purpose rather than confusion. The butcher froze, the knife slipped from his hand, and for a second the whole shop looked suspended in silence. The creature did not rush the counter or wander like it was lost. It walked a straight path, paused, then turned as if it had confirmed something. That calm was what made it terrifying, because fear usually belonged to the intruder, not the person being watched. In late October 2019, just after 6:40 p.m., near a quiet footpath on the outskirts of Whitby in North Yorkshire, a local care worker walked with her mother when they noticed a lone figure standing near the edge of the trail.
¿Qué es esa cosa, Dios mío? No es una persona. No, no es una persona que me doblada. ¿Pero qué es? Ay, madre, no. Está moviéndose raro. Diosito, Dios mío, ¿qué es eso? Ay, no.
She raised her phone, speaking in whispers, asking what it was, and the camera shook as both women stopped. At first it looked human, then its outline warped, limbs stretching too far, head tilting in a way that felt wrong. The moment it seemed to realize it had been seen, the fear shifted from confusion to certainty. They backed away carefully, voices trembling, and the footage ended with the sense that whatever stood there had not wandered into the path, it had chosen to wait. Recorded at exactly 3:07 a.m. in October 2018, on the outskirts of Bucharest, Romania, a freelance urban explorer and night videographer entered an abandoned industrial complex, deserted for decades. He filmed decaying corridors while narrating softly. Then he heard crying that did not match the silence of the place. A woman stood ahead, still and alone, and he approached carefully, asking if she needed help. When he tapped her shoulder and she turned, her face appeared unfinished, warped, almost blank, and his voice cracked into panic. The camera jolted, footsteps echoed, and he bolted through darkness while breathing hard, like someone who had just realized the real danger was not being lost. It was being noticed. On October 17th, 2022, at exactly 3:33 a.m., on a remote industrial access road near Constanța, Romania, a CCTV camera monitored illegal dumping when a tall black figure heisted into view as if it had stepped out of static. Horns curved from its head. Its body looked unnaturally thin, and four blade-like fingers flexed while it moved in jerky, unfinished motions. Then it vanished within seconds, leaving no shadow, no sound, no trace. What disturbed me was the precision of that moment, because it appeared once at a specific time on a camera meant to catch human crime. If it was a prank, why did it look like it materialized rather than entered, and why did it choose a road where nobody was meant to be watching? In Sanakstotaglan, Ethiopia, a home CCTV camera captured a woman standing outside her house at night, gripping a bottle of holy water in one hand and a broom in the other, prepared to confront what she believed was a witch targeting her grandson. She moved with stubborn courage, speaking into the night like she refused to be intimidated. Then the creature revealed itself, a hybrid with a human upper body, bird-like legs, black feathered wings, and a human head, flapping violently as tiles scattered. It lunged toward her, and the footage snapped into chaos, scrambling movement and frantic shouting. The clip unsettled viewers because it showed belief turning into confrontation, and once a person challenged the unseen directly, the response did not look symbolic. It looked physical. Late at night, around 1:17 a.m. on June 12, 2019, railway maintenance workers inspected a disused stretch of track near Bistrița, Romania, and a night shift signal technician recorded what appeared between the rails. A pure white figure stood motionless, shaped like a young woman, refusing to react to voices or movement. The technician whispered repeatedly, trying to sound brave, but his tone kept breaking as if he expected it to respond. Locals later linked the shape to an 18-year-old girl who died on that line years earlier, and that rumor added a layer of grief to the fear. The figure never moved, and the clip ended with the workers stepping back slowly, like they feared the smallest action would trigger something worse. In early June 2018, just after noon, in an old hillside graveyard on the outskirts of Oaxaca, Mexico, CCTV captured a figure squatting low among the graves, almost blending with the ground. Then it rose slowly, revealing a tall, well-built body and unmistakable horns. It did not run. It did not panic. It entered the cemetery with deliberate calm, shoulders squared, posture unnatural, and slipped into an abandoned structure like it belonged there. Daylight made the clip harder to dismiss because shadows had less power in the middle of the day, and fear had fewer excuses. If it was staged with unsettling confidence, and the bigger question remained, why did so many of these sightings cluster around cemeteries, as if something treated them like meeting points? On October 31st, 2022, at an underground music venue in Los Angeles, a freelance videographer was hired to capture performance visuals, expecting shock theatrics and costumes.
O adeste infernalis. In satana conjunctis sumus. Virtus luciferi voluntatem nostram confirmat. Gratia lis nos allugetuetur.
Instead, the footage showed a stage full of performers who looked disturbingly inhuman. Horns, unnatural teeth, glowing colored eyes, movements that resembled people but felt off in the face and expression. As the music intensified, their expressions twisted feral, and the crowd cheered louder instead of backing away. Some viewers later dismissed it as extreme stage design, while others argued the atmosphere felt ritualistic, like performance had become ceremony. What made it unsettling was the audience reaction, because fear disappeared, replaced by celebration. And that raised a darker thought. When something looks wrong and people still applaud, what exactly were they feeding? On September 28, 2021, just after 1:40 a.m. in a Sao Paulo high-rise building, a freelance video editor working late heard his closet door shake violently, and he recorded as he stepped closer, in a tense whisper, like he tried to keep himself calm.
Oh, those beavers, how they hypnotize. Yeah, where'd you get those eyes?
He opened the door and saw nothing for a moment. Then his lens drifted left and revealed a towering figure, human-shaped but wrong, raising one finger to its mouth in a slow, shushing motion. People who discussed the clip later split sharply. Some called it sleep deprivation and shadow play. Others insisted the gesture was too intentional to be an accident. The unsettling part was the command, because it did not roar or attack. It demanded silence, and it got it. On a small livestock farm outside Cordoba, Argentina, a rancher who bred goats reviewed motion-triggered CCTV after hearing restlessness in the pen. The footage showed a pale, alien-shaped figure were rushing into the enclosure, thrashing toward a cornered goat with frantic speed. Then the farm dog charged, barking and colliding, forcing separation. And in that moment, the goat broke free and scrambled away. The figure recoiled like it calculated the risk, pivoted, and sprinted out of frame, leaving dust and sudden silence behind. The rancher later replayed it frame by frame, and what stood out was how quickly the dog shifted the outcome, as if some creatures relied on fear, but collapsed when courage showed up uninvited. Late one humid night on July 9, 2020, just after 12:30 a.m., in the outskirts of Oaxaca, Mexico, a small-town security guard heard scraping behind a closed workshop and walked over with his phone already recording, like he had learned the hard way that nobody believed stories without footage. His flashlight beam caught movement and a figure eased into view, human-faced, skin dark and slick like wet mud, eyes fixed but calm. It did not rush. It did not threaten. It shifted sideways, lowered itself into a slow bow, then retreated into shadow as if it had shown respect or delivered a message. The guard's voice dropped into stunned silence, and the clip ended with him backing away carefully, like he feared turning his back more than anything else. On October 13th, 2022, just after 2:40 a.m., in a forested area outside eastern Kentucky, a middle-aged wildlife tracker installed a trail camera to monitor deer movement near his property. Instead, the footage showed a goat-like figure stepping into view with a thin body, elongated legs, and luminous eyes reflecting infrared light. The pace stayed unhurried, the head remained steady, and it crossed the frame without reacting to the camera at all, like it already understood it could not be stopped by observation. The tracker later pointed out there were no matching tracks where the camera should have caught them, and that detail made the clip linger in people's minds, because it suggested the figure moved through the woods like it owned the path, not like it stumbled across it. On March 22nd, 2021, just after 1 a.m. in a rural backyard outside a farming town, a poultry farmer reviewed home CCTV and saw a thin, crouched figure enter the chicken pen, move straight to a pile of eggs, and feed calmly. The chickens did not scatter. They did not flap or panic. They stayed strangely still, and that detail changed everything for me. Predators usually triggered chaos, noise, instinctive retreat. Yet here, the animals acted like the presence was familiar, or worse, accepted. The figure exited without urgency and vanished into darkness, and the farmer replayed it in disbelief. If fear was missing from the animals, did that mean the creature had been there before? Or did it mean something about it felt normal to them in a way humans could not sense? Across continents, cultures, and decades, these entities did not act like wild animals. They watched, they waited. They chose when to appear and when to leave. Some bowed, some shushed, some simply observed. If these were demons, why did they seem so controlled? And if they were not, then what had been watching humanity all along? What do you think these recordings really showed? And if cameras were not present, how many moments like these went unseen?